Hi, friends. Welcome. We are live. Hi, this is round one of the Nine Clouds Teachers Forum live stream. We are so excited to have this opportunity to have teachers from the Patrick Kelly Nine Clouds Tai Chi system. And my name is Mia Park. I am going to be one of the moderators today. Hi, welcome. And Nathan, do you want to say hi?
Hi, I am a background moderator. I help organize things, and I will be off and then see you towards the end.
Great. So Nathan, thank you so much. He came up with a lot of the questions and did a lot of the background work. So we're going to say temporarily see ya for Nathan, and we'll see you in about an hour. Bye. Okay, so really excited to have this exciting group of teachers here today. And by the way, some technical stuff to begin with. So first of all, if you are watching this through the Patrick Kelly Tai Chi Students Facebook page, you can see this bottom scroll on this screen. It says you need to go to that website, streamyard.com/Facebook, and then give them permission. And then that way you can type in your questions live, and we will see your questions live here on our end. So the other part is that on YouTube, I believe you should be able to put in live questions on YouTube and we should receive them. So again, if you want to ask us questions on Facebook, please go to that website below, streamyard.com/Facebook. That link is also in the actual live stream text. Okay, so that's the technical stuff. So quick introduction with the teachers here because they are going to be introducing themselves. We have Wayne Duncan from New Zealand. And then we have Joe Harte from England. We have Timothy Suh, my teacher here in Chicago. And we have Sylvia, and can you please pronounce your last name?
Tambellini.
Tambellini in Los Angeles, but known to be teaching in Italy. Great, welcome. Okay, so we're going to start off our first question, which is actually an opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves, is if you want to say a couple words about yourself and also share with us what is your story of coming into the lineage and practicing and meeting with Patrick Kelly.
Right. Well, my background, I come from a Christian family, and Dad was heavily involved with the church, so I was brought up in the church. And by the time I was 9 years old, I was teaching Bible class. And that faded away over time. I didn't feel as if it was leading me anywhere. And then Dad sent me off to boxing. He said, "Oh, you've got to be able to defend yourself." Well, I hated boxing. I hated getting hit in the head. And so for quite a few years, I just drifted. And then in my early 30s, I was living in Alice Springs at that time, and I found a book, and it had a meditation in it. And I started doing that meditation, and it seemed really powerful. But I was scared stiff because I had no one to ask. I couldn't ask anyone about it, and so I dropped that. And then when I finally arrived back in New Zealand, I started meditating, and I tried two systems. And the first one was sort of that quiet, watchful state, and over time it sort of didn't really lead anywhere. And then while I was doing the next one, I met Patrick, and we met socially a couple of times. He came around to see people where I was living at the time, and I continued on meditating. I'd asked him questions about Tai Chi, and obviously I wasn't quite ready to take a leap that way at that stage. And I continued meditating. Then finally I realized that my body was packing it in, and I needed some movement with my with my spiritual path. And I'd done a little wee bit more research on Tai Chi and decided that was the thing. Went to a friend's place one day, told them what I was looking to do, and they said, "Oh, hang on, we've got a poster here somewhere." And they fossicked around on their notice board, and suddenly there was a poster, and it was Patrick's poster. And so I decided, right, this is it. I'll go along and have a look. And when I arrived at the school, Patrick met me, and he said, and this is 3 years after I'd met him, And he said, "Oh, it took you a long time to get here." But it was obviously the right time. I was comfortable being there. I had to watch a class. And from that day on, it just slowly developed from there.
All right. So it sounds like there was a little bit of maybe fate, if we want to call it that, rustling around finding a poster.
I think people who come to this sort of thing, it's there waiting for them, and it's just when the time's right.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Awesome. How about you, Joe? How did you come onto this lineage and meet Patrick and start studying with him?
Well, I'd been training with Dan Russell in Carlisle for a few years. I'd sort of come to that through my background in harder martial arts, you might say. And interesting to hear Wayne saying that at a young age that he became interested in meditation. And that was also my thing as well, my experience. At around the age of 14 or so, 14 or 15, I started to experiment with a meditation. And that led me towards the martial arts, and I fully expected it to be part of the training, but of course it wasn't. And so I spent quite a long time doing my kung fu stuff and what have you. And it was really only when I moved to the north of England, and a friend of mine from London, who had never shown any interest in anything that I'd been doing in terms of my martial training or whatever. He'd actually started training in a Tai Chi class, and I met him at a party when I'd gone back to London, and I couldn't stop him talking about it. So I thought, well, because of my kung fu background, obviously I'd heard of Tai Chi, but I had no idea what it was. And I thought, well, I wonder if that would have something of the more meditative aspects. And so I found a teacher. It wasn't very close, actually. I had to travel quite a long way to train with Dan. And but I picked the right teacher in that Dan had a meditative background, strong meditation background. And he was a seeker, really, and that's what led us to Patrick. And so, after a few years of training at the school, we kind of we got introduced to Patrick's system of training. That Dan had met Patrick. Actually, met a student of Patrick's in Australia, and then went to find Patrick. He was teaching in Europe. And so it was, I'd started training about 1990 or 91, thereabouts. Then we started attempting the methods of the loosening exercises. We didn't have the loosening exercises in about 94. And then Patrick came to the school in 1995. It was the first time I met Patrick. And he did a seminar in Carlisle. Yeah, and that clearly the system integrated meditation with the more movement part of practice. So it just drew me in from there, So
Cool.
still sticking with it at the moment.
That's interesting. Both of you had kind of come to this practice through other practices. I just want to do a technical blip here. So Nathan in the background is telling us that apparently this is not live streaming on YouTube, and I'm so sorry about that. From the technical, and it says that we are live on YouTube, and he's saying that there's nothing there. So if you happen to be hearing this and you're on YouTube, come on over to Facebook, and apologies about that. So, this is live. We're doing the best that we can, but we can upload this to YouTube eventually. So, okay. So Timothy, how about you? How did you come to this lineage? And what was it like for you when you first met Patrick? We lost Sylvia. She'll come back.
Oh, very interesting. Everybody's talking about when they're younger. So I was formally trained in harder martial arts by my father growing up, coming from Korea to the United States when I was 3. So I'd been doing hard martial arts except he always had this meditative component that he was taught. He was taught during, before and during the Korean War. So he was taught by this Taoist who really began every and ended every class with meditation, very similar to what we did. And I was doing my doctoral program in 2010. And one of the things we could do is, within the modes of Chinese medicine, Tai Chi, Qigong were an opportunity for us to explore. And so I had done Tai Chi through different lineages since 1998, through Peter Wayne, who's in Boston, is when I started when I was living there. And then coming back to Chicago, the kind of lineage of Wei Sun Liao. But a little bit of fate was that I had searched for someone to go and see, and I discovered Huang Xingxian in this lineage, and I knew he had passed away. So I had searched for either Patrick, which you could not find very much information about him except for his website, and then Wikijin, who seemed to have more information out there. And so in the fall, I had contacted Patrick, and he had not answered me for a few months. So I was just about to book with Wiki when Patrick emailed me and said, "We have this. He's doing this these seminars in Europe in the summer, and so that I could come to them." And I had gone and met these wonderful people, going through Europe, quite a few, I think 5 cities during that summer, and then got introduced to Patrick and to the system. And what I always say about Patrick, of course, he is the teacher, and as he's developed himself, he's quite amazing and skilled. But I think what brought me into the system and really showed me that it is a true lineage is that the students, the seniors, these amazing people that you see here, and many of the students that follow Patrick at different levels could do and were training both internally and externally as Patrick did and does. So that was my introduction, and I've been doing it ever since. So there we go.
Great, thanks, thanks. So again, someone who came to this lineage and this system having some experience with other systems that were not working for you. And that's also interesting, Timothy Suh, that your first experience was at Lake Constance. Is that correct? Like your first?
My first was actually, I was, I believe, my first, I did do, it was toward the end. I actually did Paris. We did Germany, Paris, I believe, Switzerland, and then finished, I think, in London first. I forget, but I did 5 cities. And yes, one of them was, the last one was Lake Constance. Yeah.
And you did Tai Chi in all of those places?
Yes, I did all the. Lake Constance, he only let me for the first 4 days.
Well, that's a great way to. You might as well just do it. If you're going to go to Europe, just do it. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so Sylvia, welcome back. we missed you. We missed you. That's okay. This stuff happens. So Sylvia, we hear that you have a very interesting story about how you came to meeting Patrick in this lineage. If you would mind sharing with us, that would be lovely.
All right. I'll try to stick to just the Tai Chi part of my training. I started doing Tai Chi in 1991, like Joe. In Santa Barbara here with a wonderful school called Tung School. And I went on to start teaching in Italy. And I wasn't quite satisfied enough. I'm quite a searcher. I always have been searching. spirituality is a part of my whole life. And so I started going to Malaysia because I heard that there was many different types of schools of Tai Chi there. And I studied with 4 or 5 different people, different methods. None of them were from Patrick's school because they were in Penang, except for the very last one in Malacca, which was probably my favorite. But the ones I studied with were all different types. I studied with older teachers, younger teachers. I formed a family there, a group of people that I would go visit every year and study with. But I still was not satisfied. And I would go to India on the way back always. And on the way back, I was doing Tai Chi in a field. And there was nobody around. And I saw a woman watching me. And as I came off the field, she said, "Oh, I've done Tai Chi too." And I said, "Well, I'm trying to be satisfied with what I've found. I'm looking for somebody who can teach me the martial part, who is very spiritual also." And she said, "There's only one person." She said, "Go find Patrick Kelly." And so I had heard of Patrick Kelly. I was on a boat with Chinese people in Malaysia, and they said, "There's only one white man who knows what he's doing, and that's Patrick Kelly." So I heard that. I didn't know who Patrick Kelly was. And so I went on a thing. People were helping me with websites, and I finally found Patrick Kelly, and I wrote him a long letter and asked if I could come to a seminar. That was the year 2000. So I'd already done Tai Chi for 8 or 9 years, and I was teaching. And he said, "Well, I don't think you're ready." And I said, "I'm ready. I teach." And he said, "I still don't think you're ready." And I said, "I could do the long form backwards. You don't have to worry about me." And he said, "I don't think you're ready." And so I finally convinced Patrick to let me come. And I think he was very leery of what was going to happen. And when I met Patrick Kelly in Paris, the year 2000, it was a big shock for me. It threw me off completely. It was almost a recognition of somebody who was coming from a very, very deep place. It was extremely different than any person I ever studied Tai Chi with. And it was much more than what I had learned Tai Chi to be. So that's my story.
That's great. Thank you. I love that you were confident. At least you had confidence. That's good.
It was a test.
It was it's only a test,
It's
Joe.
always a test.
This is only a test, isn't it? Okay, again, I just want to go back to the kind of logistics of things. Again, sorry we're not on YouTube. I don't know why. It says we are live on our end. So as Nathan said, if there's anyone on YouTube trying to watch, they can come over to the Facebook page and we are taking comments. So thanks. And if you want to leave a comment on Facebook, there's a banner down below. Go to that website there. It's streamyard.com/Facebook. Facebook has this weird kind of a law, like we can't see who's commenting unless you give permission down there below. So, okay, thanks. Okay, a couple other questions. Let's see. So we had some people send in questions ahead of time. I like this question. How have you developed spiritually? What processes are you using to develop further? And I like this. There's 3 questions, I guess. I like this question. What is your goal for this lifetime? Just light stuff. Grab your popcorn.
Yeah.
We're okay. Wayne, do you care to kick us off?
Right. Well, when I came to Tai Chi, I was interested in Tai Chi and the spiritual side, the meditation and that sort of thing. And it just was a slow feed in. I started in 1987, and first of all you learn the form, you learn the choreography, and then as you start to get into that, you start to find things happening in your body, and then you started with the meditation, and slowly things from the meditation flow back into what you're doing in your movement part, and you're deepening in that as well. And just as an aside, something that I found over the years is that as you deepen into your Tai Chi, it's a bit like peeling the skins off an onion. You know, you're getting closer and closer to the heart of what's going on. And on the way, you may find rotten bits. And you're going to have to confront these at some time in your life. And having some training system that can carry you through is worthwhile. And for me, the crisis time came about 3 or 4 years after I started Tai Chi, when my body really fell to pieces. Because up till then, I hadn't really looked after it. And I fell deeply into dreadful arthritis, could barely move, just shuffled and shambled around for about 3 months. And then just kept, when I could, I did Tai Chi and I did meditation and things like that. And slowly over time, my body changed. But now I still have the odd twinge of arthritis, but it's nothing. It's nothing. And it's just a way of healing yourself physically and mentally. Like you're going to peel back layers and you're going to find things that you've buried away. And you can run, but you can't hide. Eventually, when you start digging in, you're going to open up what's in there. And it's good to have a system that works to allow you to deal with those sort of things.
Thank you.
I've gone off track, but never mind. Over to
That's
you, Joe.
okay.
Yeah, well, it's about finding balance. I think you know, that's such a difficult thing. That finding balance. I mean, how I mean, it's very difficult to know how you've developed spiritually, really. But what you can see is perhaps a manifestation in some respects of how you relate to the world, how your relationship with the world and those people and people around you. And so it comes down to balancing yourself, or finding a certain balance and being able to operate from a deeper part of yourself. That's the thing that's really important. I mean, we all have times that are extremely difficult. You know, life's up and down, as Patrick says. Of course, it's true. You know, and sometimes things are extremely difficult. You know, there are difficulties, family difficulties, or whatever, and it's at those times that you perhaps start to see what you have in terms of the depth of your stability, you might say, and that's really a powerful thing when things really hit you hard, when the external life comes and gives you a really big shock. Those are the times that you start to see if you have something. Certainly for myself, I mean, of course, it's not perfect; it never will be. But certainly for myself, those are the times when you start to really value the depth of the training, where you have a sort of a stillness, a still part. That isn't, of course, you're still disturbed by what happens externally, and you're still maybe upset or bothered, but there's a still part. There's something within you that has a certain stability, and that only grows over time. As Wayne alluded to, it's something that needs a step by step process. You have to work your way through step by step from outer movement to something much deeper. And in terms of, am I really supposed to say what I hope to achieve in this lifetime?
Up to you. This is very casual.
If I could achieve balance within myself, that would be a fantastic thing. And of course, we know that the real aim is something deeper than that. So That's what I would hope. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Let me interrupt real quickly. So I guess we are streaming on YouTube now, and sorry for the technical difficulties. It's organic. So, and some people are saying that they're hearing echo. Sorry about that. That might be you on the user end. Make sure there's only one streaming open. Now you can watch it on Facebook and on YouTube. And again, apologies, but we're just rolling with it. So thanks. Okay. You want to take a sip of water first, Timothy? It's your turn.
Sure. So how did you develop spiritual? Okay, here we go.
Okay, right.
I'll join
Do
you.
you want me to ask the questions again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I actually asked three. There were three
Yeah.
questions asked, so I guess you can choose. Okay, these are from David Wilson. How have you developed spiritually? What processes are you using to develop further? What is your goal for this lifetime? I guess we can say choose one.
All wonderful questions. I'll actually try and answer all three quickly. So how have you developed? So I in one of these very trying times for me that started my going as deeply as possible was when my mother was fighting cancer and became terminal. And that was in 1998. It's the same time I was living in Boston at the time and flying back and forth from Boston to Chicago. During this time, I had opportunity, again, these kind of fortunate things that happen in your life to happen and direct you certain ways. I was at a retreat in the Berkshires in the United States and met this ex-Catholic priest who was Chinese, very unusual, from Hong Kong. And he asked me how I write my name in Koreans. Also, we write our name in Chinese. And I have a very yang name or a very strong will, or I was born this way, as we get our names from these astrologers. And in 1998, he told me, you have to learn a yin art, whether it be yoga or Tai Chi, and then you'd be unstoppable. And so at that time, living in Boston, I started both. I started a lineage of yoga and Tai Chi, the Chenmenqing lineage. And then I started to practice yoga. So I went towards yoga thinking that was much more meditative, much deeper, much more spiritual. And I actually hold the lineage of Yogacara through the Shivananda lineage, which seemed like a very balanced yoga lineage. And they talked about, developing certain things, but not in the detail in which Patrick has. And so I practiced that for quite a while. But when I met Patrick and the system, it was much more clear, the processes that we needed to do. And as Joe said, step by step, both from the physical, the more emotional, and the deeper mental processes. So these processes are this kind of spiral of development, depending on how subtle and how much more you develop over time. And so luckily, I have never stopped this. The other one, the goal in the lifetime, I think is everybody's goal, I think, unless they're blind or ignorant or what Abdullah and the Sufis say, that they're unawakened or don't even have the desire for this goal. But I think as everyone ages, I think body, mind, and then you realize, as life goes on, there's more, and it's not outside. It's really only inside. So I continue to develop through this practice, through the practice of Tai Chi, through the Tai Chi Chuan in the physical, but the deeper emotional meditations, and then the deeper spiritual work that happens from that progression that we do daily. So hopefully that answers Dave's question.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. And how about you, Sylvia? Do you want me to re-ask the questions?
Yes.
Okay. So there's three. These are a little all over. Okay. So first, how have you developed spiritually? What processes are you using to develop further? What is your goal for this lifetime?
Well,
So how, what, and what is your goal?
the process I am using is what I've learned from Patrick Kelly of growing. I said at the end of what I said before, there was a recognition. When I met Patrick, I recognized that he was not just a Tai Chi teacher, but he was a spiritual teacher, and he was connecting to all my growing spiritually rather than just physically training Tai Chi and trying to grasp onto something spiritually. He was actually on the spiritual path very strongly. And I could, that is why I really grew to Patrick Kelly, is that he was a spiritual teacher. And the Tai Chi was just a part of that spiritual training. I once encountered somebody that said to me, an old student in my old school, well, isn't all Tai Chi spiritual? I'm sure it's supposed to be spiritual, but it never quite gave me the method and the process I got from Patrick. And it gave me the opportunity to grow, which grow in a spiritual path much stronger than just doing the actual physical Tai Chi, teaching the physical Tai Chi. And what I would like to accomplish in this lifetime is to grow as much as I can and to pass it on also to can you see me? To
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can see me.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't see you all of a sudden. To pass it on. I'm just I always feel I'm just a link, and all I have to do is make my little link as as um, valuable as it can be in this process that Patrick is teaching. So it was quite a recognition for me, and it's been quite valuable in my life.
Oh, thanks. The great answers. Thank you, everyone. One thing I resonate with and appreciate with the system also, and hearing from all of you teachers now, is that there's an appreciation for the processes. We're talking that there's a system, right? This is not some kind of ungrounded or unobtainable system that we're in. And Timothy, I appreciate how you're saying too that you were interested in entering the system by seeing senior teachers like Wayne, Joe, and Sylvia, who can also obtain that, enter the system as that exists. You don't need to be initiated or wear certain clothes or be called a certain thing. I appreciate that's great. Appreciate that. Okay, so Nathan came up with a great question. After your long experience as a student and teacher, are there problems you feel are universal on the path? So recognizing possibly universal problems on the path as a student and teacher.
Right. This is never, the whole process is never easy. Well, for me anyway. If I find I drop off for a day or so, I suddenly feel, oh Christ, and bring myself back. But it's giving yourself a reason to do it, And the reason for me is that I don't want to be stuck in a body and not go any further. So I want to go through these processes that we're shown. The system we have is quite clear, the steps that you should go through, but you have to do the work. It's not something where you go and sit with a guru and feel as if you're getting the all the goodness from them. You have to be with them and then do the work. And it's an ongoing process of doing that sort of thing to develop yourself right through.
Thanks. Joe?
it's I think a universal experience that just going deeper is always difficult, and it's always the next step that's the most difficult thing. But going deeper is making that step from external practice to something more of an internal practice. I mean, how do you do that? It's very difficult. I remember my own efforts. I was really struggling and frustrated by the whole thing. And of course, I heard because Patrick teaches a very clear system, and it's been referenced. We've made reference to it several times, a step-by-step process. But as Wayne says, it's not because you hear it that you can do it. And so what's required is a perseverance, an absolute determination that you're gonna stick with. There's a certain repetition required, of course, a certain perseverance and repetition, a doggedness, you might say, to keep digging deeper. So it's the same for everybody, I think. Stepping from the external practice with the just concentration on largely external movements to the next step into something a little deeper. So of course we know, because we've trained for a long time, that of course the external movements also have an internal changes that take place, and this is still part of the external level, but nevertheless it's starting to deepen the whole process. And actually, I attempted to write this down some years ago. The Singapore Society asked me to write a little article for their 50-year celebration. So I thought, well, what could I possibly say? These guys have been training for 50 years at school. I can't say anything. But anyway, they were interested in they were interested in how the teaching had kind of rippled out. Master Huang's teachings had rippled out through Patrick into the West. So I made my attempt to write something of the steps that I had experienced. And that began, as it does for most people, I think, with experiencing the pressures on the feet. Just those very early stages. A long time ago now, but just that very early stages of a growing sense that it's something other than just external movement. So it's difficult for everyone. Is there advice to give to people? You have to have a bit of a smile inside yourself, a bit of a sense of like Chen Manqing said, he's the old child that never tires of learning, or something like that. So you have to have a sense of having a little bit of a giggle inside yourself, even though you're really trying quite hard. You've got to give yourself a little bit of leeway and keep going. That's the thing, because everybody who keeps going will make that step.
Oh, that's great, Joe. My inner smile's now outside after hearing that.
Oh, I can't help it. Sometimes it bubbles out a bit.
You're bringing it out in all of us. Everybody's going to come up to you now from now on and just smile at you.
Okay, that's not bad.
Thank you. Oh, okay, Timothy. How about you? What do you recognize? Any universal problems that people have as a student and teacher? What's your advice?
I agree. Just continuously taking those steps. I was going to actually teach this for next week's. We've been doing the online courses, and I was going to teach this for the next kind of spiritual focus. Is the spiritual pride? I think it's tough as a teacher. That's been tough for me for a long time when it comes to teaching this spiritual pride. Spiritual pride really hinders the teaching in many ways, and Patrick was very good to, when I first met him, to help me understand that. Because, growing up in a Taekwondo family, my father, you had to bow, you had to call him a certain title and all these things. But when I met Patrick, he kept saying, please do not do that. It's not good for him. It's not good for me. Just call him Patrick. So I know behind the scenes, we call him, the master or whatever it may be. But that really rang true to me. And to this day, I believe that when you have this spiritual pride, or just because you're on the path, when your pride and ego develops, it hinders you because you think you know something. But if you really are working on it, you realize the further on you go, how much longer, bigger, and deeper everything really is. So you realize how little you actually know, and that constant humility seems to be the thing that helps me. And of course, all the seniors here who, they've been doing it much longer than I have, and I can look up to them and see how humble they are with the amazing development that they've had in themselves. So what was the other part of that?
If you happen to have advice on getting over these universal issues you recognize.
Just like Joe said, to be the child, to not think you know anything, really. There's always more to learn, always more refinement, always something more subtle. The last time I actually was with Patrick in Shanghai, he said something that I remember. I always take some key things, was that it's as if you do the form or you do other things, and he even says he knows all the little things he does incorrectly so that he can continue to refine. And so for myself, that's not just in the external movements, but as Joe said, and Wayne and Sylvia, I'm sure will tell you, it's all the internal, deeper emotional things, deeper mental things, trying to consistently observe yourself and not allow that ego or to expound out. But we fail constantly. And my advice for everyone is fail many, many times until you can actually make some sort of change. So there you go.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah, Timothy often says in class, when you say fail, success, invest in failure, invest in loss. That's what you say. Invest in loss. Yeah, it's good.
The Chen Menching.
Yeah. And Sylvia, how about you? What do you recognize as a universal problem we all have practicing?
Well, external things that you don't expect to come into your life that come into it, and being able to remain in a deeper level. That has been, I think, the most difficult thing for me to learn is always to keep growing from the pressures that keep coming into your life. As you grow older, you think that, there's going to be less pressure, and surprisingly enough, there's even more pressure. There's just the pressure of coming closer to your own death too, and that I think is a universal pressure on us all, and this is keeping on that deeper level, keeping yourself in the process of what Patrick is teaching, his method, to realize there is much more beyond this lifetime that you can connect with great effort. I always used to I always used to read about effortless Tai Chi. With Patrick, I have to put a great effort into it, not just a little. It was a long step for me, and I think the rewards are not the rewards that I ever expected, but they're the rewards in the deeper sense I've always wanted. So my advice to people is the path is very clear, as Rumi says. The signposts are right there. Don't try to go off the path. Stay on the path, and what you what will become of you, what you will arrive at, will be something you've really, really wanted.
That's great. I love what you said about what you found was not what you were looking for, but you know it's what you needed. That so someone's going to make it. That's the social media meme. Someone get on that and let us know. That's great. Thank you. We have a couple more questions. We have about 15 minutes left. We do have more questions, but is there anything you wanted to ask each other or bring up with each other?
I'd like to ask Sylvia when I'm going to see you for lunch again.
No, I miss you so. I miss you so much.
Likewise.
I did have a dream. I have to tell you, I had a dream. So I had a dream that Wayne was in it too, and Joe, and we were all in a hallway, sitting down in a hallway, and Barbara was there too. There was about 11 of us. I don't know why the number 11 stands out. And Patrick came down the hall, and he saw us all sitting on the floor, and he said, "Don't waste time. Don't waste time." So you're with me if it's only in my dream life.
Lovely.
Oh, that's charming. Thanks. You know, that actually what you just said about the dream reminds me of I'll ask a question. So, you know, Patrick talks about the guide and that often the guide comes in dreams. And this may be personal, so if you want to pass, is of course if you like to pass. So, would anybody be interested in sharing what their dreams are like involving their guide? I don't know if that's appropriate to ask or not. It might be very personal.
I'll pass on that.
Okay, we'll pass on that one. Next. Because I think I'm having some of those experiences, and it's just I'm so new to this system and these experiences for me. So it's nice to hear everyone's stories on that, but that's fine. Next question. Okay, so Peter Cook asked an interesting question. He asked, "What are your last thoughts before sleep and first thoughts after waking?"
Right. Well, when I'm going to sleep, it's a process of quietening down and letting go, and I'm letting go of surface part. It's just like when you deeply breathe in, and then you quieten and shut down, and we say you quieten and shut down and go to sleep to wake up and internally, but we also quieten down enough to let go of the chatter of the brain to go to sleep. And I'm trying not to think of anything at that point and just drift away. And in the morning, it's always, wow, I'm here again, let's go.
That's great.
Last thoughts, usually related to, I tend to read before I go to sleep. So because of the lockdown that we've all got at the moment, I'm sort of rereading some books that I haven't read for a while. So at the moment, I'm just looking through Ouspensky's In Search of the Miraculous. And so, you know, something like that, which I find is quite a difficult read personally. You know, that would be the thing that would occupy my last thoughts. And in the morning, it's usually, I wonder what I'm going to have for breakfast.
That's good to be practical.
Well, you know, we have to be. You know, it's you've got to have a degree of practicality about these things.
That's great.
Amazing.
How about you, Timothy?
So, you know, lately during the lockdown, and Kevin's been sharing Abdullah's works. So
on the Facebook page.
Yeah, in 1998, I was also introduced to Edgar Cayce. I don't know if many people outside the United States know about him. So as one of the things that, you know, one of the things that you let go of towards the highest, you know, is to let go of the ego. And to do that, you have to Abdullah would say and Casey would say, you'd have to have, that has to happen from the grace of God. So what my repetition these last 40, plus days have been, it's something that Edgar Casey used to say. It's a quote that it says, "Not my will, God, but thy will be done." And I don't mean that in a religious sense, but I'm just trying to shut down that ego part. And I literally say that as I'm falling asleep. Again, I've been reading a lot of the old Abdullah texts. And then in the morning, that's literally the first thing I say when I wake up. And then, where's my coffee? I'm like trying to get my coffee going. I'm like, before I get up and have to teach the Tai Chi in the morning, I want to get my coffee. As you guys see me taking my coffee in the mornings. So that is that. I do this for patients as well. So as I'm a clinician, when people come in with insomnia, I do tell them to prayer or mantra really does help, because it takes that ego part of the way and helps it be pushed into the background, so that you're reaching for something more and something can come in to help. And like you said, the guide or whatever, the higher energies can help. But you have to ask the correct question. So you ask for help. There you go.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And how about you, Sylvia?
But when I go to sleep at night, I try to shut off my brain consciousness. I try to let go, but I might look like an old lady, but I'm a child at heart. And I always sleep next to a window, and I always look out in the trees at the stars. And I try to bring the stars inside of me. I try to let myself become a part of it all. It's something I've always done. The little girl seems to take over for a moment, and I sleep quite well when I do that. And when I wake up, it all depends on a lot of different things. I go dark. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't see. I can't see you. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to come right back. Okay, here I am again. And when I wake up, it all depends on the dream I had. I usually have my strong dream right in the morning, and this morning I happen to have dreamt my father moved all the equipment I set up last night to do this. and it was a very good dream, because I said, well, that's just my father. He didn't mean anything by it, but he moved all the equipment. And everything has to be rearranged. So my dreams are quite telling, and I like that dream especially because it had a lot of acceptance of my father and who he was. Anyhow, that's how I woke up this morning. I wake up differently every morning. So,
Based on your dreams. Oh, that's good. That was a good question. Thank you, and great answers. So we're winding down. We have about 7 minutes ish. I just wanted to give another opportunity for our panelists if there's anything you wanted to ask or comment to each other, or just in general.
Well, we're going through this pandemic, so some practical stuff might be worthwhile. A while back, Christine Schneider was talking about Master Ni's 5 clouds meditation, and she did suggest that especially the moving the energy, it's metal energy, it's white, onto the lungs, for just as a way of protecting yourself there. But we do this all the time in our Tai Chi. Every time we're sitting back, say, we breathe in, and we're lifting through the body, that's metal energy. It's for the lungs. And so it's something that I've been focusing on a little more over this time, seeing this thing seems to attack the lungs quite dreadfully.
That's great. Thanks, Wayne. Thinking about the metal element
So I've been doing the same, Wayne.
in Master.
Oh, sorry.
Way you go, Joe.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, I thought there was yeah. No, so I mean, I agree. I've been doing something the same. I've been trying to support my students a little during this difficult time. There's a lot of fear out there, and people are very stressed. And I've been doing the video classes, not live streamed or anything. Sorry, there's a terrible echo that's just occurred. So it's a bit difficult. I'm hearing myself, but we've been doing the 8 parts, doing it 3 times, driving energy through the nervous system of the body, and then concentrating on the 5 parts.
Mm.
Okay, sorry about that. I try to get the technical stuff going here, but I understand this is the way it goes. Is this better? Is it sounding better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for reaching out to your students about the, talking about their fear that they have. I guess that's in the world now. Are there any other comments that you, Sylvia or Timothy, wanted to say to each other or anyone else?
But the pandemic, I think, again, if this is a great world pressure, we talk about pressure in this lineage quite a bit, and this pressure is reaching everyone. And so if you take it as an opportunity, if you understand pressure as an opportunity to develop yourself, and that's why I've been encouraging on the online courses, or just at this time, the more difficult, as we all know in this lineage, it seems as if the more developed and you think you reach something, the pressure gets stronger. And so, just try to reflect on, and really, as you shut it down, just see these as opportunities for development.
Thanks.
For me, it's been a retreat. I've been alone for about 2.5 months now, and I mean, I do walk, but it's been a lovely retreat, a great change. I can see the value in it. It's been a stopping. It's been a pressure. We are social animals. We like to connect, but it's been as an opportunity to look deeper inside, to see fear, to see what fear does to myself and others, and to find a deeper security beyond that. So I see it as a wonderful opportunity for the world. Hard because a lot of people are suffering from it, but with everything, there's a negative and a positive, and I'm just looking at the positive side right now.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so maybe can you all let everyone know what school you're teaching in? So in the bio below on YouTube, and it should be above in Facebook, I do have each of your bios and links to your respective schools. But yeah, Wayne, if you could please start us off, let us know where you're teaching and how people can get a hold of you. Your best way the people can get a hold of you if they have questions or want to study with you.
Yeah. I'm teaching along with five or six others at Patrick's School in Auckland, 9 Clouds, and if you Google 9 Clouds, you'll get 3 schools around the world, and Auckland is one of them. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you.
Cool, thanks. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I teach in County Durham and also in Northumberland. They're both in the UK. And you can get hold of me if you look at Joe Taiji. There's a website, and there's a link from Patrick's list of teachers sites as well. You can find it there. And of course, people who are in the UK would be very, if you visit the UK, you're very welcome to come and train. we do occasional seminars, and some in County Durham, some in London. So, of course, people are welcome.
Cool, thanks. And how about you, Timothy?
So I am an acupuncturist or Chinese medical physician in Chicago, and I've been hosting the online Tai Chi classes as well. But normally we teach daily in Chicago, and then we host some seminars. Our friend Guillaume from Nine Clouds in Shanghai usually comes a couple times a year to do seminars, and I've been flying to Boston, and he also to do seminars in Boston. So we're trying to cover a bit of the United States. But anyone's welcome to take the online course if you know someone who wants to perhaps have a taste of this lineage, I guess you'd say. And of course, anyone's welcome whenever they're in Chicago and whenever we have the seminars.
That's great, thanks. And there's a link to Timothy's website, and then through that website you can get information for the online Tai Chi classes. We are in Chicago at least still sheltering in place for many weeks. So these classes I anticipate will be still going on every day for at least 3 weeks. So thank you. How about you, Sylvia?
I'm in Pietrasanta, Italy. I am not the director of the school anymore. Ronnie Popper is the director. We have a lovely school there in Pietrasanta, and anybody interested, I still teach, but he does the most of the teaching now. And anybody interested can get our website. I have it written up there, Down Moon Tai Chi.
That's great. So that's right. So you are you teaching in California, or are you just in California now because of the pandemic, or?
I got stuck here. Let's put it that way. I got stuck. I was on a plane going to leave, and I got stuck here. So that's why I'm here. But I always spend a month back here. I have relatives, family back here, and I always spend a month here. And this year I've been here since early February. So I've been here a long time.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your retreat, like you said you were.
Yes. No, I teach mainly in Italy. I would love to start a school here. Just I'm never here long enough.
Great. Well, thank you so much for participating in this Teachers Forum. And thank you, everyone, with your patience with the technical difficulties. We're live, and this is our first time doing this, so thank you. We do hope to do this every month for the foreseeable future, so we'll hope to have another round of teachers with the Patrick Kelly Tai Chi system. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Mia. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you, Mia.
Everyone, take care. Bye.